Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react.
Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast today. This episode is part 2 of a 2-part series. Our guest is Rob Long, the Executive Director of Uplifting Athletes. If you didn't hear the first part of the conversation, we encourage you to go back one episode to number 252 and catch up. Before we pick up where we left off with Rob, we're excited to share another story of rare resilience.
Community starts when we share our story.
Rare is defined differently by everybody. In this segment, we're highlighting what rare means to the storyteller.
Rare is straight up fire. Rare is a gift. Rare is raising awareness.
Rare Is began as a social media campaign and has become a platform that is elevating the voices, faces, and experiences of the rare disease community.
Amgen's new program, Rare Is One, aims to share diverse perspectives from around the world of those impacted by rare disease. Hear from the storytellers who are navigating life with the rare disease, supporting a loved one, and advocating for change in the rare disease community, and the challenges they've encountered and overcome.
My name is Jose Flores. I'm a corporate speaker, global motivator, mindset disruptor, #1 best-selling author, excuse remover, husband, father, amazing friend. I mean, the list can go on and on. But you know, at the end of the day, man, I just like to say that I'm a messenger of hope. I was born with a neuromuscular condition called spinal muscular atrophy. And basically, the older I get, the weaker my muscles get. And so the doctor said that by the age of 15, I'd be in a wheelchair. And they weren't even expecting me to live past my teenage years. But I have good news for everyone because back in February, actually, when I met Sean, I just celebrated my 47th birthday. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah,
that's
man.
amazing.
Oh, man, that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family life?
Yeah. I had dreams like everyone else does, you know, and, I wanted to be successful in life. I wanted to have, a nice house, a nice car, all what our society looks at as successful when I was younger. But really deep down in what my main goal, what my main dream was wondering if a woman was ever going to love me like this. Because I felt like damaged goods, right? Like I was broken, I looked broken, I felt broken. I moved from the Bronx, New York to South Florida, where I currently reside. And shortly after that, I lost my ability to walk. And, I was on disability checks. I said, okay, you got to figure something out. You got to get a job or something. Maybe you can make something happen. So I went and got a job, and that's where I met my wife. We were on the same team. There was a group of us in the company where we would hang out at each other's houses. We would play card games, board games, and just have fun, One day I mustered up the courage to ask her out on a date, and I was around Valentine's, so I asked her, hey, would you be my Valentine? And she said, yeah. And that was all she wrote. One thing led to the next, and we got married. We have 2 amazing children. We have a blended family because I was actually married prior to her and I had a son. And then when I met Andrea, she had a child from her previous relationship. My son was 2, her son was 3. This year in 2024, we're celebrating 17 years of marriage. We have 2 amazing sons. They're 23 and 24 years old now. God knew what he was doing because he knew that my wife was going to need help helping me. And so my kids help. And, it really takes teamwork to make a dream work. I know we hear that cliche saying all the time, but that's really a literal statement for our family because I wouldn't be on this podcast with you guys if it wasn't for them because they're the ones who help me get out of bed and get dressed every morning.
You said 2 things that stick out to me. Global motivator. Can you share a little bit about what that means and how you do that?
Yeah, so when I was younger, man, I never thought I would be able to do anything great in life. I never thought I would be able to make a difference or do anything of significance or leave a legacy or anything like that because of the condition that I had. I didn't have any coaches or mentors or anything like that pouring into me saying, you're great, you can do whatever, whatever you want, that type of talk. And so I never had a larger vision for myself. I never thought about the future or career because the doctor said they weren't even expecting me to live past my teenage years. So I was basically like my whole younger years in life I was just in survival mode. But the reason why I'm a global motivator is, number one, because that's what I do for a living. I travel internationally with my wife as a corporate speaker. I literally went on Google and YouTube and just typed in motivational speaking. And I came across so many great speakers, and I literally went down this rabbit hole of personal development and business development and motivational speaking. And I was like, these guys are literally making millions of dollars, and all they're doing is using their minds, their voice, and sharing their story. And I was like, shoot, I got a powerful story too. I got an amazing mind. I have a powerful voice. I was like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to make a difference in the world. Little by little, I set a goal for myself early on that I wanted to be able to impact 1 billion lives before I die. Wow. And so I know that's a hefty, goal to make, but there's sometimes, Sean and Kyle, that I'll go to the store and I know I'm impacting lives just by showing up for life. Yeah. I drive my own car. I go shopping and people are always staring at me, watching me because they're curious, So that opens up doors of conversation, right? To raise awareness, to share about my condition. And you'd be surprised how many people are really interested in learning about different things.
Jose, another thing you said early on was you're an excuse remover. Can you give me the mindset behind that phrase?
Now we live in such an information-filled world with Google and YouTube and the internet. There's really no excuse not to learn about something. And you can literally learn about anything on the internet. Yeah. So I always tell people there's no excuse to not learn something that you're passionate about or that interests you. And maybe, just maybe, you might be able to make a living off of that. For those that are hungry, for those that want more, for those that are willing to put in the work that needs to be done to get more, then those are the ones who are going to win. There's only two people, right? You're either going to win or you're going to sit back and watch the people win. And I was like, man, I want to be one of the ones winning. And so, I'm always getting up and getting out there and trying to win the day. Now, do I win all the time? No. Do I win every day? No. Am I motivated and inspired all the time? Absolutely not. But I understand that, we're all human. We're going to have our moments. Listen, it's all right to have your moments, but just don't let those moments become days, because then those days turn into weeks, and those weeks turn into months, and those months turn into years. And then you're down this rabbit hole of darkness or negativity that is very hard to climb out of.
Why is it important for you to share your story?
Because I know that by sharing my story, there's other disabled people out there and non-disabled people out there that can relate to some of the things that I may say. The mindset is so powerful, and I don't think that we give our minds as much credit as it deserves. When the mind decides, everything else follows. Mm-hmm. It's up to you. It's up to you where you want to go with it.
What does rare is mean to you?
Yeah, man, to me, rare is fire. When you see something that's awesome, that's amazing, that looks good, you're like, man, that's fire right there. When I hear rare is, I'm like, yo, rare is straight up fire because it's unique, it's different. Another one is rare is a gift. When I was younger, all I wanted to do was be normal. Like if I wasn't normal, right? In my own mind, I thought I wasn't normal because I wasn't able to do what other kids were doing. I didn't have the abilities that other kids had. And so for me, that was normal. So I just wanted to be normal. When I got older and I understood that being normal is being the same as everyone else. And that's the last thing that I wanted to do as I became an adult. I didn't want to be like anyone else because I knew who I was and I knew what I wanted to do in life. I knew what my purpose was. And so I wanted to be abnormal. I wanted to be unique. I wanted to be different from other people. What I thought was a curse in my life wound up turning out to be one of the greatest gifts. It's almost like, is the cup half empty or half full, right? So how you look at it. I get to live this life differently from everyone else. Is it easy? No, but life isn't easy for anyone, right? No matter what the situation is. Rare is raising awareness. We have to be able to embrace our uniqueness. Like, right, how many times you're out in the street, whether you're a young person or you're an adult, and you see a McLaren pass by, or you see a Lamborghini pass by. And it's one of those type of cars that you may know that are out there, but you don't really see them frequently. It's a unique type of thing, right? You're turning your head to look at a Lamborghini, right? You're not turning your head to look at a Honda Accord or like the car I have, right? Nobody's turning their heads to see my minivan and saying, wow, that's a cool minivan, you know? But people will turn their heads when they see me in my wheelchair.
For sure.
Jose, what gives you hope?
You know, there's a treatment that I'm on right now specifically for spinal muscular atrophy. It's not a cure, but it's a treatment that stops the disease, or it slows the disease down significantly to where it's not progressing. So that's a win. So what gives me hope is that there's people out there that are researching, people that are raising money for more research. So what gives me hope is that I know that there's people that are out there that are fighting on our behalf, on my behalf, for finding a cure for this debilitating disease.
Where do people connect with you?
Yeah, man, you can connect with me on any social media platform at Jose Inspires. You can visit my website at joseinspires.com. And if you'd like for me to come speak for your organization or your team members, you can email me at bookjose@joseinspires.com as well.
Jose, thank you for joining us today and sharing a bit of your story.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you guys. And I love what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work, and God bless you guys, man.
Rare Resilience is a segment of the Two Disabled Dudes podcast made in partnership with Amgen's Rare Is program. Visit www.rareiscommunity.com for more information and to share your rare disease story.
Well, you can probably tell Jose is a powerhouse, and we encourage you to go find him online to be a part of his journey. And now, please enjoy the second half of our conversation with Rob.
You talked about your work with Uplifting Athletes and how fulfilling it is. Tell us about Uplifting Athletes. What do you guys do?
Our mission is to harness the power of sport to build a community that invests in the lives of people impacted by rare diseases. We currently right now work with athletes at the college and professional level, leverage the platform that they have, and bring more attention, awareness, and action to the rare disease community. We've been, incredibly fortunate to work with a ton of amazing college student athletes and now professional athletes to help support the work that we do, both on the research side and now with our Uplifting Experiences program. Brett Brackett and I took over the organization leadership in 2018, and we kind of took over this organization that had an awesome mission, an awesome purpose. It just kind of needed some love and attention and guidance, and we were able to provide that. When we started, it was like, where do we go from here? Like, where do we start? And so our focus began with the Young Investigator Draft. It was this research-focused program. It's modeled after the NFL draft, but instead of drafting the top athletes, we draft and fund the next generation of rare disease researchers. It's a really neat opportunity for us to celebrate these researchers as the heroes and champions that they are. These folks that are oftentimes behind the bench in a lab, they are the foundation to all the things that we see today. Whether it's a gene therapy or whether it's Advil, it started in a lab. And what we're trying to do is encourage that next generation of researchers in the rare disease space to pursue rare disease research and to know that there's an opportunity, both economic and the potential to change lives in the rare disease space. And so we work with disease-specific advocacy organizations to co-fund research grants through that program.
Yeah, you say economically and just like the path forward, right? But I also think it's fulfillment and appreciation too. That's the biggest thing for me. Like the grants, that's awesome. Everybody wants their research to go forward. But when they're on stage and everyone's clapping because of the work they do, that's going to drive someone so much.
I always kind of joke when I get to talk with the researchers as they come off stage. I'm like, you ever been drafted before? I'm like, no. I'm like, all right, well, this is your first time. We're proud to be a part of it. And the thing that I've heard from them is that it's so neat to have that appreciation, that sense of community, that support. Our leadership conference happens the same weekend. We bring all the student athletes that we have. And we usually have a panel, like a former student athlete panel. One of the panelists last year was a pediatrician at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And we told her about the Young Investigator Draft. And she was like, that's so cool, because she said, I got one of the most important research grants in my life, came through in an email. And I was just sitting there in my office, and there was nobody to celebrate with. She was like, I had to bring all the research associates into the break room, like, we're going to celebrate. We just got a research grant. Yeah. And so I think there is something to showing the appreciation that we have for those researchers and the work that they're doing, and knowing that there's that community of support, right? We had over 300 people at Lincoln Financial Field to celebrate researchers. And like that is really cool, and know that what they're doing matters.
Talk about some of the other work that you do, like specifically with the athletes. They're trying to build a platform and they're trying to find fulfillment and a career, something that can support them for the rest of our lives. How does Uplifting Athletes fit into that?
What we're able to do, starting especially from the college student athlete level, we work with those student athletes and we provide programming that is built around their schedule. We know it. We were former college student athletes. We understand their commitment to their academic life, their commitment to their athletic life, and the commitment to the social life. So where does the opportunity to get an internship? A Division I athlete does not have the opportunity to do a 20-hour-a-week internship. It's just not realistic. There's literally not enough hours in the week to do that. So what we've built through our leadership development program is really the opportunity to connect with these athletes, to build a program around their availability, but still have an crazy impactful opportunity to support a really cool organization. And so from an early stage, we're working with them. They put on a fundraising event called Lift for Life at their school each year. It's built around something that they already do. They're doing workouts all the time. We have some pick a workout. We'll build a fundraiser around it, and they go out and they have a great time. We get them T-shirts, and they celebrate big thing for them. But the student athletes that we work with, they're learning the communication skills, the coordination. They're forced to talk with people that they wouldn't talk with in their athletic department, right? You got to go talk to the communications, go talk to the social media team, go talk to your athletic director, go get people, go out there and do that. And so from that standpoint, we're able to get these student athletes outside of their comfort zone, outside of their box a little bit. Then from there, they're able to graduate, and they say, hey, I played football at Northwestern. I graduated with the 3.6, and I also raised $40,000 for the rare disease community. And they go, oh, tell me more about that. And then they have something to talk about. And that's a person that has shown and taken the initiative, while being an athlete, while doing well academically, to say, hey, I also want to give back. And so what we really try to instill in the student athletes that we work with is that you have the platform to do good. And we try to make it so that they can do that for the rare disease community. But ultimately, we want them to understand they have a platform they can do that. As they transition from college, and sometimes, specifically with the football student athletes, from the college to the NFL, we have a program called Reps for Rare Diseases, where we work with those NFL hopefuls and the ones that get an invite to go to the NFL Combine or at their college pro day. They can raise money for uplifting athletes for every rep of 225 that they do at the Combine, or every inch that they jump for the broad jump or the high jump at the NFL Combine. And it just is an amazing opportunity to generate a ton of awareness, because the athletes that we work with, they end up on the front of NFL.com. They end up, putting a social post on their Twitter feed or their Instagram, and they have sometimes tens, hundreds of thousands of followers that we're able to reach. And a big part of being able to drive action is awareness, and that's where this has got to start. And so that Reps for Rare Diseases program is something that is a great kind of next step, and that's a next touch point for us. And then when they are professional athletes, when they are at their top of their sport, we work with them to host families that are impacted by rare disease through our Uplifting Experiences program. 2023 was our first full calendar year of the Uplifting Experiences program, and we had set a goal for ourselves. We said we want to try and do 10 to 15 of these events in the first year. We're so much about who we are, Brett and I, and the organization as a whole, is we want to do things well. We want high quality and make sure that we're taking care of everything for the families that we work with. We understand that sometimes these families have a tough time. They go to the store, they have a tough time, and they go to the doctor's office. They're going to do something with us. It's going to be done well, and they're going to make sure they're taken care of. And so So we're going to try 10 to 20 of these events. 2023, we did 31 events. We had over 400 people impacted by a rare disease come through the program.
Wow.
And
amazing.
it was NFL events, Major League Baseball events. It was practices. It was game days. So it was really spread across different sports, engagements, activations. And we did it from Philadelphia to Seattle to Florida to Arizona. And, we have an incredibly small but mighty team that has been able to make it all happen.
And I assume that experience is all-encompassing. You, transportation, make sure somebody's there to hold the door for the wheelchair user and deliver food and whatever else.
Everything. It's all about accessibility. It's all about the opportunity to have a unique experience. So many of the families we work with, they don't have the time to go see their friends on a Tuesday and grab a drink at the bar, right? So we have families that are coming to a baseball game and they're meeting other families. Yeah. We were just at a Flyers game, a couple months ago. We had two families, both with the same rare disease come. Didn't intentionally do it on purpose. They meet, and those are the opportunities that we're able to create through that program, and something that we're really proud of and want to continue to expand and grow. But as Sean said, it's all about taking care of the parking, the tickets. They get a swag bag and travel, transportation, any accommodations we take care of. And that's we want to make sure that we're providing that first class and white glove experience for them.
Speaking of all the accomplishments that you guys have been able to do, culminating in what sounds like your biggest year yet, and the momentum just keeps building. I think back to our conversation where you were laying in bed by yourself going, oh my gosh, I'm going to die tomorrow, basically. Yeah. I just can't help but think it's such an encouragement to other people who feel like that. And oh my gosh, it's possible to do something different, that maybe my fate isn't sealed. Everyone's different, right? Yeah. And everyone's got different family and different support system. Yep. But just knowing that it's possible, I think it is huge.
Yeah. It's so much for me about mindset. It's about one foot in front of the other, and we'll figure it out. And I think for me, it was taking back that power of myself and saying, I'm not the victim here. I will rise above this. Whatever is thrown at me, I will continue to go forward. And I think if you maintain that mindset, you can accomplish anything that you want. It's not a simple thing. And I'm far from perfect in this, but my words of wisdom that I've learned is just, one foot in front of the other, and you keep moving forward. And there's going to be tough days. Everybody has tough days, but you just got to keep going. And that was the thing that, has, I think, allowed me to get where I'm at. In addition, you said, I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world, surrounded by unbelievable people, and have met incredible people through this work, you guys included. I've told my doctor, my therapist one time, I said, sometimes I literally think like this is all just like a joke, like it's like a simulation. So many times, things could have just ended or taken that final turn, and consistently just keep going forward. And as long as I keep waking up, I'll keep going forward. And that's the thing that I feel most blessed about.
What is something you're most proud of today?
To be honest, the thing that I'm most proud of is what we've created with the Young Investigator Draft. This past weekend went over $1 million in research grants funded. And the reason that I'm most proud of is that, I talked about trying to create something that was bigger than me and would have its impact felt long after I'm gone. And that's that's something that I hoped to create. And the Young Investigator Draft is a program that has now funded 54 different researchers with seed grants. And the reason that this is so important to me is that, and Kyle's heard this, that I'm the beneficiary of somebody that was given a seed grant. And so I was treated with a novel chemotherapy that was approved months prior to my diagnosis. And when I looked into that story, it was developed by a man named Dr. Malcolm Stevens, and Dr. Stevens is still doing his research at the University of Nottingham. I reached out to him last year and just said, "Hey, Dr. Stevens, this is my story. This is what we do at Uplifting Athletes, and I just wanted to thank you for your work. And he sent me this unbelievable, best email I've ever received. Sent me this long email back. I read the entire thing in a British accent and made it a million times better. He said that, among many other things, one of the things that really stuck with me is that he said when he was a young researcher, he had received a seed grant. And with that seed grant, he was able to hire a research assistant who I happen to share a name with, both named Rob. So he tells me he hires this research assistant named Rob. They find a small lab in Birmingham, England, and they first synthesized temozolomide in April of 1980.
Jeez.
I'm sitting in a doctor's office in December of 2010, and there's a therapy that they can try. And it's because, in part, he received that seed grant 30 years prior that I even have a chance.
Wow.
My hope for the researchers that we've been able to fund and will continue to fund is that they get that email someday that says, hey, thank you for saving my life and allowing me to spend more time with my loved ones.
Yeah.
That is something that I know the ripple effect. I probably won't even be able to follow it, but that's the one thing that really makes me happy is that we've been able to create that program in a way that hopefully has touched a lot of lives to come.
What is something you would tell a 22-year-old in your shoes?
I think the one thing that I wanted to hear most is like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be all right. And whether the diagnosis, goes the way you want it to or not, like, you're still going to be okay. There's still an opportunity with whatever time you have to make the most of it. And you have to know that you're okay to do that. You almost have to give yourself that permission. It's hard for me to say I wish I had known that because I would not change where I am. I wouldn't change what I've been through. I think it's all created who I am today and put me in the position that I'm in today. It's the reason I'm married to the woman that I am today, and none of that I'd change. So for me, looking back, I don't have regrets. I don't have things that I'd want to do differently. Even the worst things, they're things that have built character. There's things that you look back on and go, all right, well, I made it through that. And there's been failures and things that I've messed up, and you just learn from them. And you say, all right, don't do that again. John, one of the guys that has been a mentor to me, is currently the interim board chair at Uplifting Athletes. He said, it's okay if you have a problem. He said, just don't have the same problem a year from now. So that's kind of like how, it's just how it's been. And just try to move forward. That's been the biggest thing for me.
Huge. Nice. Where do our listeners find you and or Uplifting Athletes? How do people get involved?
Our website's upliftingathletes.org. Would love for you all to check it out. All the things that I think I've talked about today are on there. Our social media at Uplifting Athletes on Instagram, Facebook, all those platforms. Personally, at Rob Long 47, still hanging on to my college number there. Again, across the Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all those things. LinkedIn, obviously a big one there with all the stuff we're doing with Uplifting Athletes. But I would love to hear from the people that listen to this and get to listen to you guys. It's absolutely awesome to be here with you both. I'm so glad you guys asked me to come back.
For sure.
Absolutely. It's been a totally different experience, I think, being in person, right? So wonderful. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Kyle.
Sean, Rob is a leader that really walks the walk. He gets involved with the community. He's raising funds. He's funding research. He's really pushing everything forward. He's also affected by rare disease. Yeah. He has all the aspects of an incredible leader in this community.
Absolutely. We sat down with Rob in studio, and that was, a little while back. Now that we're tying everything together, it's been several weeks. But do you remember what I said as he walked out, how I described him?
No, I don't remember that.
I said something to the effect of, that man is an absolute stud. I don't use that word just because he's a handsome guy or because he's got this, that, or the other. But to me, stud really captures everything. A heart of gold, mindset that's driven to make a difference. And just all around a good-hearted person who also happens to be a good-looking dude. So everything about him, I just remember thinking, so glad we got to hang out with him in person. I do believe that was the first time I've met him face-to-face, and just had a wonderful time hanging out with him in studio for a bit. And you're right, he's an incredible leader and a force for good. So, Rob, thank you.
All right, Sean, as our listeners know, we recognize the value of gratitude. So who does your thank you note go to today?
I'm saying thank you to a program this time. A few months ago, I pulled the trigger on a Masterclass subscription, and a few months went by, and I never touched it. And in the back of my head, I'm like, why did I spend that money? And, what a waste, and blah, by just shaming myself. Well, a couple weeks ago, began to adjust some things in my habits, and now I can't stop. Like, my earbuds are almost always in, and I'm constantly playing stories or chapters or whatever they call them, classes from the app, and I absolutely love it. So, Masterclass, thank you for doing what you do and making it accessible in a fairly reasonable manner.
I'm glad you said fairly reasonable. I hope the pricing is fairly reasonable because, Sean, you got me one. A membership. You got it for me for Christmas or my birthday or something, which was really, really nice. And I'm going to activate it because you said that.
I had assumed we were in the same boat. We got it and then started thinking India and then the season and then whatever else in life. So it lay dormant for a long time. I'm just a couple weeks into it. So if you haven't touched it yet, no pressure, but it's pretty cool.
My thank you note goes to my mailman, John. Sean, how do you pick up your mail? Is it like at a central location where everyone goes and you have to have your key and you like check the little cubby, or is it come straight to your door? Oh, you're in a house.
The house is very similar to yours. So there's a box near our house, but it covers like 20 houses or something.
Okay. Well, my mail comes to my door in a box right outside the door. It's so nice. And that requires a mailman to walk around to every single unit to deliver to each mailbox. Not only does John do that, but he's a nice guy and he remembers names. When I first moved in like 4 years ago, he remembered my name, and that just kind of makes it feel at home, right? And so, anyway, thank you, John.
The most important thing in life is how other people make you feel. That's what you're going to remember. So, I think that's a pretty cool thing to point out. Thanks, John, for going the extra mile there. Of course, thank you again to Rob for being a part of our episode today. You can find our show notes at twodisableddudes.com, where you'll find links to some of the things highlighted in today's episode, including Jose and Rob and Uplifting Athletes and more. If you're liking the show, please share it with a friend. You can do so easily just by sharing links on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you might spend a little bit of your social media time. Please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we look forward to talking at you again next week. Until then, keep living with urgency.
Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to stay connected.
Find us on Facebook and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast player.